Hello and welcome back to another edition of Coach's Corner. I'm your host, Josh Klein. I have the pleasure of being joined by Coach Hoover from the Susquehanna women's soccer team. Thanks for joining me, Coach.
Thanks for having me.
So, Coach, the team has put together consecutive seasons with double-digit wins. What has been the key to the success of the program?
We've worked really hard, the coaching staff and the players, in developing a good team culture, and that was kind of important. The competitive environment we drive every day in practice, the ability of the team to, go out and compete with one another every single day in practice, maybe two hard-fought practices Monday, Tuesday, and then go out and not just compete again against an opponent, but support one another. It's a tough balance, but this team's figured out a way to do it. I think we have a really high level of character on this team, and all of those factors, I think, have gone into helping us achieve some success the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm. And the team has been also really successful in the classroom with 22 all-academic players last year and another 22 this year. How important is the academic success to success on the team, success on the field for the team?
I think that's all about accountability. I think when we start the recruiting process, we always emphasize how important academics is to this program, and how the success we've had off the field has been just as important, and ultimately will end up being more important than the success on the field and what you're trying to accomplish later in life, whether it be grad school or getting a job someday. And just like we hold each other and their players accountable on the field for the amount of work they put in, their fitness, the level of work they put in the off season to get better, we do the same in the classroom. And I think when you step into a high level of an academic environment, the pressure's on to be a part of that culture that we've built of success both on and off the field.
And so you have multiple seniors and upperclassmen who you talk about that leadership role. What does it mean to have such good leaders and seniors to help lead the charge for the team?
Well, we have 11 seniors on the team this year, and that speaks volumes, again, I think, a lot towards what the success has been. And I think the overall success of the team on the field, off the field, speaks towards the amount of leadership we have. We have two technical captains, but I think there's so many leaders on this team, and not just in your senior class, but I think that comes down to experience being here. But also willingness to kind of step up and be vocal when needed, and be a leader by example when needed. We have multiple players who are willing to do that, and just the experience we've had, I think, has kept this team, going in the right direction.
And in just the first 17 games, the team has allowed just 11 goals. What has been the key to the defensive success so far?
Well, we're a big believer in our program of team defense. Obviously, you have players who are specifically listed as defenders, and that's obvious, and those players have been terrific this year, as well as our goalkeepers. Both have played terrific all season. But I think our team defense, from all the way up front, our strikers, all the way back through our goalkeeper, our shape, our ability to keep opponents in front of us, our ability to communicate defensively, stick to the game plan, has really been the biggest component. And then when you bring players on off the bench, do they understand the game plan? And I think that commitment to being hardworking and consistently supporting one another in the shape, in the formation, and the fact that we're committed not just to 2 or 3 or 4 players being our defenders, but everyone having that mentality to start a game, keep the opponent off the scoreboard as long as possible, has been a key part to why that's been successful.
And you are no stranger yourself to Susquehanna soccer, having played here as an undergrad. So has it been difficult for you to adjust to the women's game?
I get that question a lot. I actually started here as an assistant with the men's team, but not really. I think soccer is a unique sport in the fact that men's and women's, the rules, the ball, the size of the goals, all of it's the exact same. You go to men's and women's basketball, there's differences in the size of the ball and the three-point line. Men's and women's lacrosse, very different rules. Softball, baseball, different sports. So I think the unique thing about soccer is that the sport itself is very applicable to both the men's and women's side, just as far as the rules. Of course, there's differences between the coaching the men's game and the women's game, but I wouldn't say it's been that much of an adjustment. I really embraced it. I really enjoy working with my team, and I've been fortunate to have some really great young players come through our program, and I don't think this year is any different.
Mm-hmm. And just 4 years ago, the team was just 1-14-2 as a record. Since then, your teams have averaged 10 wins a year with 40 total victories in the last 4 years. So what have been the goals for the future of the program?
I mean, obviously to continue the pendulum swinging that way. It was a really rough year. We went 1-14-2, and I give so much credit to the players who were here as first-year players because they could have easily given up on this program. You walk into a Susquehanna University women's soccer and you win one game your first year, but the amount of commitment we've had in the off season and the accountability each player has had for one another as well as themselves has really been the key, because at this level we're only able to coach these players from from August to November, and then really for maybe 5 weeks in the off season. So the off the field, out of season type commitment has been huge, and we expect that to continue. We have an opportunity to go out and compete for a conference championship this year by going to playoffs. We want that to be the norm. We don't want that to be a rare thing. We want that to continue to be the goal every single year.
Mm-hmm. And we wish you and the team the best of luck going forward.
Thanks.
I'd like to thank Coach Hoover for joining me on the Susquehanna Coaches Corner. I'm your host, Josh Klein, and I hope to catch you next time.